Neil, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do for work, and what you write about.
Yeah, I'm a co-founder of a marketing agency called Studio PTBO. We're based up in Peterborough, Canada. And basically my background and my expertise is in branding, marketing, communication, editing, writing, all those good things around creativity, which I love and have a passion for.
Awesome. And I know you co-authored your book. And so can you tell us a little bit about what your book is?
Yeah, absolutely. It's called What If You Could? And it's really, the tagline is it's a blueprint for living your best life, really. That's what we tell people. And it's like basically life hacks as far as, business, mindset, life for how to put you on the right track and get you in momentum and find your best life and your purpose and what you do in life.
I think that's such a good topic, especially having that business incorporation, because when you're running a business, as I'm sure you know, it's more than just the strategies and the tactics and the numbers. It's about you and your development and your growth. So how did you go from, you're running this marketing business, you're an expert in the marketing and branding space, to more of a holistic approach to life improvement?
Yeah, totally. Well, we have a Studio PTBO podcast that my co-author Cody and May and I do, and we interview entrepreneurs around the world. And something that constantly comes up is being a good person, helping other people, connecting with other people, making these human connections and building what we call relationship capital. And that means a lot in life. It's not just like one hit wonders, we call them, where you get someone and you burn through them. Like you have to care and genuinely care, and people can tell. And so Cody and I were already like that. And then we feel like we found our tribe through that. So we thought the book was sort of an extended version of the podcast and listicles I've done on social media about sort of, again, how to live your best life, your passion, find your purpose. And it really came together nicely. Thank goodness, because it was our maiden voyage with a book.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Thinking back to that writing journey, were there any struggles that you encountered, maybe strategy or mindset that were hurdles you had to overcome?
Well, we did a lot of due diligence, to be honest, beforehand, which really helps. So I recommend that to any author. Don't just start writing, like find out. In our case, we found a really good book shepherd that was referred to us, named Susie Schaefer, and she's based out of California. She's been working with authors for years, and she really helps navigate you through the process, gives you a production process to keep you on track. Because as a writer, you really have to be disciplined. There's this misnomer about writing and creativity that just happens, right? It doesn't. Like as Stephen King said in his book on writing, his wonderful memoir, that you have to be disciplined and literally sit down every day at a certain time and sit down and just write. Verbal diarrhea, just let it out, let it out. So the book shepherd was key in that case. And then we hired a book editor as well after the fact of writing it. And she really helped shape it. And her name is Bonnie McDermott, and she was phenomenal. So we really had a good team or entourage around us to make that happen.
hmm You mentioned doing your due diligence. What did that look like for you?
Really, with Cody and I, finding the people again, like we connect with other entrepreneurs, like, hey, who did you use, or who would you recommend, or who's the person that you could connect us to that would connect us to this other person that connect us to this other person. It's like a 3-degree separation sometimes, right? And then when that happens and you're in that circle, that inner circle, if you will, you find the right person really quickly. And we've just learned that through making the human connections and business connections we have over the years through the podcast, which has just brought us tremendous opportunity and wealth. And I mean that, and not in the financial sense, but just in the mental sense. So yeah.
So just to confirm, when you're talking about building those connections, do you mean people that can help you along your journey, like the book shepherd and the editor that you mentioned, or more people whose stories you can incorporate into the writing?
More the connections, to be honest, depending on the context of what you're trying to do in life. With us, for the book purpose, we made the connections quickly because we had heard about people who had done books and collaborated on books, and we're able to put pieces together really quickly depending on the project and what we're doing. And in this case, it was the focus on the book. How do we find the right peeps around us to make this happen and then pull off a beautifully designed book with great marketing and PR and a great editing, because that's vital.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thinking to the writing structure, obviously you have tons of information to share. You have all this knowledge and expertise from your
Mm.
years in the field that you're in. How did you decide what to put in your book, what order to put it in? How did that start to come together?
Well, Cody and I had a lot of meetings about that with our book editor. Initially, he has a more micro focus to how he writes, and I have more a macro life focus. So Cody's more was around the business part. So he wrote a lot more of our snippets around that. Our book was broken into 3 sections: life, mindset, and business. And he wrote a lot more toward the business. He's our CEO of a company, and he knows that inside out. And I wrote more to the life hack stuff, the macro stuff around how to be kind, why to be kind, how to have gratitude, how to have perspective, all that. So once we started writing, he wrote his stuff, I wrote my stuff. Then our book editor started to really shape it and put it into sections. Initially, it wasn't in sections. It was just a long listicle, like a long extended BuzzFeed listicle or something. And she's like, this is too much. Like, we need to shape it into something more simplistic. And it really came together beautifully through, again, her not micromanaging, but weekly meetings with her on Zoom, and bi-weekly meetings really with our book shepherd, as we called her, a book angel, on Zoom as well. So you really need that guidance and mentor, so to speak, to really get you through it, because it can get overwhelming, especially, like I said, as a first-time author on your maiden voyage, and co-authoring too, right?
Right.
It really is not as probably as easy as you think as just writing a book on your own. So
Absolutely.
we got
Absolutely.
lucky.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, I
Yeah.
think your work paid off. Take the credit for doing that due diligence. So most of the people that are going to be watching this, they are first-time nonfiction authors. So where you were not too long ago, they've never done this before. Maybe they're struggling to get their manuscript written. Is there anything you want to share with them that we haven't covered already that will help that writing process be a little bit easier for them?
Just again, that you literally have to sit down and do verbal diarrhea, we call it. Like, just pretend it's almost drunk writing. Just let it out. Don't worry about what you're saying or your characters, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. Just let it all out. It's very cathartic and liberating. And don't stress yourself out about it if you go back and it's like, what's this that I've done? Just go back later and do more sober writing and start to edit it and craft it along with the editor that you're going to hire. So I would just say, I always tell people, start by starting, and then find the crew around you, find the right peeps, depending on your budget. Like in our case, we built the budget to have an editor, have a book shepherd, and then have a marketing plan and hire a PR company after the fact. But depending on your budget, at least have a book editor. Like, and there's ones you can find for a reasonable budget, and you really need that someone to come in cold and go, okay, here's where it needs to be shaped, because you get too close to it, right? Eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So you take a step
Absolutely.
back.
So drunk writing and sober writing. I'm going to use that because that is very helpful and it makes total sense if you start to think about it. So
And
Neil, thank
I
you so
don't
much.
mean literally, and I don't mean
But
literally be drunk, but you get what I mean.
I
Yeah,
got
just
you. Yeah, I
let it
didn't take it
out.
that way.
Yeah, I know. Let it flow. Yeah.
Perfect. Neil, thank you so much for sharing all this information with us. This has been great.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.